discuss about sustainability in and for the AI. As always, don't hesitate to ask questions on the Q&A part of the WebEx. If you have some trouble, don't hesitate to use the chat and to send public or privately message. We will try to forward the message to the speaker. Without further ado, I leave the floor to Eric Laurençon et Vincent de Montalivet. Vincent, floor is yours.
Thank you very much. So today, just for a quick presentation, my name is Vincent de Montalivet. I'm head of Eco-Responsible AI, also Speed Manager at Insight and Data Global Business Line, and also part of the COE AI and working on Perform AI offer. Eric, can you present you? Eric, you're mute.
I'm sorry, yes. I don't see that I was on mute. So I'm Eric, I'm from FNOR Certification. I'm in charge of Paul, dealing with digital trust, public sectors, and many things around environmental aspects, silver economy, etc., etc. So many subjects. Just to summarize, our daily task is to moreover identify subject in order to develop or to reinforce sign of trust or certification schemes, as you know. Our role is as an independent organization to help companies, as you know, to give even more confidence in their products, organization, and service. And I have the pleasure to be there today to detail some of our current reflection, current thinking about AE. Thanks, Vincent, for the invitation.
It's a pleasure to us too. So just to move on, today the objective is to present to you our progress on the subject sustainability with and on AI. It's a fascinating subject. I can talk for hours, but we have only 15 minutes, so let's start by sharing an overview, and thanks to all again to joining us for this session. So sustainability is entering in the daily life of every citizen, employee, company, organization, or government. How can we satisfy the needs of the present without affecting the conditions for future generations? That's a big question of sustainability. You might have heard of the COP21, the Paris Agreement, the Sustainable Development Goals, the CSR regulation and compliance, the IPCC, CDP. All this world coordination shows us that sustainability is a long journey and an extremely complex topic. From tens to hundreds of thousands of scientists are working on these subjects. I therefore here do not wish to give any lessons, but to present to you some of the work we have initiated in this theme at Capgemini. The world is still working on tackling this climate crisis. A lot of scientists focus on global warming. We have now better models to help us to measure our trajectories. We have now a carbon budget that is linked to the temperature of our planet. The future will depend on how we will be able to change our way to produce, to distribute products, to consume, to recycle and reuse, to integrate more and more the environmental issue on our day-to-day basics. It could be at an individual stage, a company stage, or at a political level. Hopefully at the company level, all around the world, some of the big tech companies and globally many companies have now announced their commitment to be carbon neutral by 2030 and 2050. We can mention Microsoft, Intel, IKEA, H&M, L'Oreal, generally, and many alliances to push for net zero economy. Reversing climate change is the new moonshot for humanity. And it is also a huge opportunity to build a new world where some of the new fundamentals will probably be resiliency, circular economy, sufficiency, and efficiency, caring on the environment and nature while assuring economic growth. So, how AI as a general purpose technology could be an enabler for sustainability, and why AI could help. One of the greatest qualities of AI is that it can digest an incredible amount of data, solve highly compressed problems with many constraints, recognize patterns, and as such as AI are very good at predicting. If you need to remember one element today is that AI is very good at prediction. We will see this will be very useful for us to fight against climate change, and we will talk about some concrete application under the name AI for Sustainability in part 1. On the other hand, the digital industry also has its share on the carbon footprint, and so does the AI. And we will cover this point under the name Green AI in part 2. So this sustainable use case that I will share with you today saves not only environment, but also reduce operating cost, or in a very clear way, add some value for the organization that implement this AI development. So let's start with the left side of this quadrant with green supply chain. We come from just-in-time practices to now a more connected supply chain, completely customer-oriented, meaning that AI is used to predict what is going to be sales on a specific corner or shop. AI supply chain driven will be able to deliver the right product at the right place at the SKU level. It could be for stores, restaurants, and any distribution local. That contribute to decrease waste, so decrease cost of product stocked at store level or warehouses. It also avoids the production of any product that will not be sold. If we move on clean energy and technology, we know now the price of producing energy from solar panels are very competitive. AI is helping solar farms to do so by predicting sun position, thus adjusting in real time all the solar panels to get as much energy as possible from the sun. The same principles are also used for wind turbine. AI are also used to predict the price you can get on the market when producing energy and decide then if it is more interesting to stock it on batteries or to sell it. We can also mention here the use case about carbon capture technology that use AI or quantum algorithmic to simulate all the physical and chemical mechanisms, thus to select the most efficient materials to be developed. Eco-responsible brands. According to a 2018 survey, 88% of consumers prefer companies that help them live more sustainably. It is huge. A brand could work to implement some green operation, as on energy efficiency mentioned before, and on waste, that both provide more efficiency using AI. AI is also a good enabler for circular economy or local economy to predict best supplier under, let's say, 100 kilometers to meet the customer demand. We could also use AI for reducing carbon footprint of a dedicated product. When doing an LCA analysis, AI will predict the carbon footprint when changing any elements of your produced goods. Let's move on sustainable cities, which is a big part. There's a lot of contents regarding smart cities using AI and smart mobility. We have AI that predict the traffic to avoid some CO2 emission from car or vehicles. We also know that AI is more and more used on the waste industry to optimize vehicle route or recognize a specific trash to be sorted on the factory line. Building is a big share on the global footprint. We use now AI to drive energy system, heat and cooling system within buildings with significant result of CO2 gain, up to 40% of energy savings. Using satellite image, AI is used to predict where to put solar panels for better energy efficiency. AI is also used to secure our urban environment to identify heat zone, to find best place for tree planting location, fire risk, and predict rising water and such natural disaster that occurs with more and more frequency in our territories. AI is also tackling pollution within cities. AI can determine whether to restrict roads or close certain power plants in a particular area that help drop by 20% of an air pollutant known as PM2.5. Finally, Again, using satellite image, radar system, or drone vision capture, our agriculture are changing to a more fine-tuning operation in a way that resources that need to be used are used in a more efficient way and thus avoid waste of energy, water, and so on. If I move to the right part, where regulators stand, there is CSR automation. CSR reporting is much of the time pain in the neck. We need to collect many KPIs from many sources by sending forms to users. AI and IoT could help to automate this reporting and format a first version of a sustainable report using NLP. AI is also used to combine the regulator database and public database to help brands to work on their sustainable issues by formatting their materiality matrix. Then on the investor part, we have three elements. Predict climate risk. Many insurance have some dedicated products regarding some natural disaster and are using AI to help them to predict the climate risk. It is also more and more common for big companies to work on this climate risk, as for the first time ever in 2020, 5 of the top risks for the economy are climate related. It could be for power plant, refinery, factories, cities, warehouses. Any real estate are a good candidate. These risks are getting more and more attention from the investors' concerns. Regarding SDG contribution, as some of the best sustainable funds are outperform the others, and even more on the COVID crisis time, all ESG criteria are now more and more taken into consideration. And AI is able to automate any reporting to measure how these assets are carbon EV or SDG positive, thus predict if investors are secured regarding their investment or not. Before concluding this part, I also want to share with you that AI is also very active in the health sector, SDG number 3. AI helps to predict disease using pattern recognition. AI helps, for instance, during COVID episode to anticipate the spread of the virus, to help organizations to secure their territories. AI helps to secure the social distances. We now know that AI beat any doctor for the diagnosis of breast cancers. So I share with you an overview with many examples that synthesize some past and current application of AI solution that we are achieving with our clients and with some specific partner that part of our ecosystem and as a sustainable partner. AI could be the turning point in the fight of a more sustainable world and a part of a solution to help organizations to solve their sustainable issue. But some of the AI application and use case need a lot of data to be processed for training, and a lot of processing requires energy. It is thus also very crucial to look at the environmental sustainable perspective of AI. So let's move on part 2. In this part, I will share with you our current work on green AI topic. We are in a time where the computations required for deep learning research have been doubling every few months, resulting in an estimate 300,000 increase from 2012 to 2018. Training and running AI at scales requires, in some cases, an enormous amount of resources. Powering this computation have a large carbon footprint. For more specific NLP models, it counts about the same as 5 lifetimes of vehicles. It is about 300 tons of CO2 equivalent. Despite the clear benefits of improving model accuracy in AI, the focus on this single metrics ignores the economic, environmental, or social costs of reaching the reporting accuracy. This trend is both environmentally unfriendly and expensive. So to avoid this unique metric, we currently work on a new framework for green AI. We've been inspired by the ISO norm for integrating environmental aspects into product design and eco-design software. We adapt it in a way for AI development process. It is based on an approach of efficiency and sufficiency. It is built on 4 pillars. One is about the infrastructure. You can see on the left side. It can differ a lot depending on the AI application. It could be on-premise or on a cloud provider. It could use some edge computing devices. There are various possibilities. The second is about the data, how to make sure we are not collecting data that won't be used for the dedicated AI running system, how avoiding some duplicate tasks when creating new dataset. The third one is about the algorithm part. As we mentioned earlier, it is under our consideration to balance the accuracy of a specific models with the energy consumption need to achieve this result. And we already found that some models are even consuming 10 times more energy for the same level of accuracy. The last one is about the execution, because we can make strong work on the previous pillars if we implement very bad queries to get the output of your model prediction. All the work done will be a loss of time. So that framework implements some specific methodologies, design approaches, or collaboration practices. We also use some dedicated choice of technical architecture or use suitable technologies and libraries regarding the specific use case. We've also worked a lot on technical optimization to build some accelerators and key tools to help to choose the best overall implementation and keep a good balance of accuracy and resource efficiency to increase overall savings. As an example, we use AI to avoid zombie server to automate its shutdown using profiling and prediction methodology. So at the end, all this work on green AI is both environmentally friendly and globally resource saving. This will lead to better bandwidth, cost earning, ease the maintenance, everybody wins, our client and our planet. So to go on the further steps, we are leading some discussions with some labelization and normalization company to build some common approaches, as well as some more specific support and measurement methodology to support our client to become certified on that topics. As AI is very unique topic and come with other specific risk, the green AI topics might come with other like ethics, privacy with GDPR compliance, robustness and securities that need to be addressed to build confidence in the use of AI. But I don't want to talk too much on that part, as the time has already gone up, and we are pleased to welcome Eric Laurençon from AFNOR, the French Standardization Association. He will share with us what AFNOR could bring in this context and why normalization and certification could help AI go more sustainable, with a brief presentation of the AI today's environment.
Okay, thank you. Thanks a lot, Vincent. I try to go quickly because yes, 2 o'clock will arrive soon. So just to go further in the element presented by Vincent, I'm so pleased to evoke with you today some key points and orientation or reflection in the connection with artificial intelligence and issues related to it. As you know, today there are many questions about AE and confidence in AE. You know that we are inside an environment, a rich environment, wherein, yes, we can find a Villani report published in 2 years ago. Yes, few months ago, a very important white paper published by the European Commission on artificial intelligence, which describe, yes, important lines to take into account in order to clarify and to find some key points, key figures in order to define AI. And many others, publication and reflection, thinking on ethics, on environmental aspects around artificial intelligence. So there is a rich topicality with which need benchmark to better understanding AE, its use, which is so important, and AE in its use. So there is a lot of things to clarify. to give even more confidence on its use, because it's not the case today. Moreover, how we can give confidence on EA, it's not a particular way, because we have a good and big experience on sign of trust and many things around it. The first thing is to define clearly all bases and shared criteria for EA in the technical papers. Vincent speak about standards, but we can speak about private technical papers or many things. The advantage of the standards is that all key actors could attend this kind of workshop with this kind of meetings in order to defend and to propose their proper criteria to find at the end a common view. But it's not the only way, and all things could be discussed around it. But today, we think that the four things after need to be clarified, because there are a lot of things, a lot of rules, a lot of regulatories for defining safety, defining environmental impact, RGPD compliance, and explainability of the system, which could be put in a technical paper in order to write a common view and to give more confidence on an actor which uses this technical paper and which explains that his proper AE has been developed taking into account this all items on this paper. So it's the first things to be done before go further. Afterwards, a good way is to assess an AE, an organization which provide AE to its proper customer, or many things around that, to perform an assessment by a certification body based on technical matters, technical papers. It's an opportunity to challenge moreover AE designers, and moreover to provide key indicators for users and end users. It's so important to give to the market, to provide to the market many indicators to reinforce, to enforce trust in AE. So this kind of aspect could be based on maturity assessment. It means that we assess, we try to find the of maturity of an organization based on certain criteria, certain items. Sometimes we can deal with performance assessment. It means that based on level defined before, based on criteria, based on objective, means that we assess the organization and the product to identify and to analyze the real level of conformity and the real performance of the product performance, which could give opportunity, which could give confidence, which could give effectiveness of the product wherein this EA could be put in or could be in use in the future. And basically, we can deal with organizational assessment. It's a classic assessment for the organization and the capability of the organization to manage clearly from the conception to the sales, the product. And sometimes we can propose and we can build some, in a way, combination of any of them. So the first step is to define clearly a technical paper. Today, there is no paper wherein enough criteria has been defined and enough criteria has been defined in a common way and in a compromised way. When this step will be done, will be issued, it will be possible, and we are thinking about it currently, it will be possible to link with Vincent and Capgemini, but with other companies too, to clearly put in certification papers objective level criteria to give confidence after an assessment. To summarize, what's added value of such an assessment or certification process compared to self-declaration? The first is the independence of assessment. So we can use our papers just to justify the real level and the capacity and the performance of your products compared to the others put in the market, to provide more confidence in the declared performance of a system than self-declaration or private label or private way, is to more easily identify and assist in the decision users to choose a trust device. And basically, it is continually change the market, is an help for a newcomer, is an help for early adopters to define what is the real needs of the market and how the market could move, and what very important key points, key action should be integrated into technical papers or into assessment scheme. So thanks, Vincent, to give us the opportunity to explain what are our thinking, what our level of knowledge today on EA, and where we are going to go, where we are trying to define a new way, a new model of confidence for the AE market and for users, for end users, for company which are in charge of the conception of AE, and so on. So let's build together the new models of trust for this so fabulous product as IE. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, Eric.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you, Vincent. Maybe it's time to ask your question. Don't hesitate to use the Q&A part of the WebEx. If you have some trouble, don't hesitate to put your question on the chat and select all attendees. We're waiting just a few minutes for the questions. No question yet? Okay.
Thanks.
So if you don't have any question, the replay will be available on the Capgemini YouTube channel. Don't hesitate to replay the videos. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Vincent. Thank you, Eric. Have a good